Is it time to add Danny Jansen in one-catcher leagues? Find out next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Tuesday, May 21st. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White, and Danny Jansen has been crushing it this season. He went 3 for 5 with his 5th home run, added 5 RBI on Monday. He's taken over as the Blue Jays' main catcher. He's batting .333, a 1078 OPS. He's cut the strikeout rate, barreling the ball up. The expected stats look awesome, and only 35% rostered. Scott, is it time to add Danny Jansen in one-catcher leagues?
Maybe. Yeah, I think if you have a need there, certainly there are some catchers that have kind of played themselves out of one-catcher league consideration, at least for the time being. Guys like Bo Naylor and Gabriel Moreno and Keibert Ruiz and other guys have gotten hurt. So we may be to the point where a guy like Danny Jansen, who starts about 60% of the time, he's not like a full-time catcher. But with the way he's playing now, I think he belongs in that one-catcher league discussion. You mentioned some of this already, but I mean, 18% ground ball rate. That is absurdly low. That is hitting the ball to do damage when you're hitting that many line drives and fly balls. It's basically cut his ground ball rate in half, basically cut his strikeout rate in half. And that doesn't necessarily mean it will always be so for Danny Jansen, but the underlying numbers are really backing up what he's doing at the plate right now and suggest that he has improved his hitting profile.
Let's continue on with some other waiver wire hitters. And if you have a need for speed, 2 names. Luis Rengifo went 2 for 5 with 2 steals. He is up to 12 on the season. And Jacob Young of the Nationals stole his 15th base of the year. He's batting .270. He's got 23 steals. He is 40% rostered. Rengifo is 69%. Scott, are you buying these stolen base totals that we are seeing from these two early on?
Yeah. I am. Certainly Young, I think this is the main thing he brings to the table. Now, I'm not as sold on the overall profile for Jacob Young or the job security as much as I am Rengifo. Rengifo, I think, just needs to be rostered everywhere at this point because he's quadruple eligible. He doesn't strike out much, which helps his points league value, and he's running a ton. So I think even in points leagues where you wouldn't expect Rengifo to be of value, I think he is. Young, a little less proven, and maybe he slumps his way out of the lineup. But I think his profile, the kind of zero power, ground ball oriented profile with tons of speed. The speed has to be part of the equation. I think it plays better in a post shift league where more of those balls can sneak through his hits than before. And there was a time there where if a guy had zero power, it just didn't matter. He wasn't going to do anything. He wasn't going to get on base enough. But I think Jacob Young could, he's kind of sold out for batting average, and that enables him to hit 260 or so. And that'll be enough as long as he keeps his job, that he can put up a huge stolen base total. And I'd leave him more for roto leagues, I think, but he has value in that format. Sure.
Let's continue on with a few other Nationals players in 5 outfielder leagues. Who would you rather have? Jesse Winker, who has homered in back-to-back games. He's got 6 homers and 5 steals on the season. Or Eddie Rosario, who over the last 14 games is batting .348 with 5 homers, 13 runs scored, 14 RBI, and 5 steals. Winker or Eddie Rosario?
So they've both been must-start fantasy players in the past. It's been a few years for both. Eddie Rosario had some good years with the Braves, but in a part-time role. Jesse Winker's battled injuries in recent years and didn't provide much with the Mariners and the Brewers. As a result, they're both looking better now. As hot as Eddie Rosario's been, he's still batting .190 for the year. He's been great all of May, but still .190 because his April was so terrible. And so I think there's less urgency to pick him up maybe than Winker, who also has the advantage of drawing walks, which can make him useful in points leagues beyond even the batting average. What's most interesting for both of these guys, Winker and Rosario, is they're running unlike ever before. This seems to be like a team philosophy for the Nationals, because even non-base stealers are stealing bases at a good rate. I mean, they're pacing both Winker and Rosario for more than 15 steals. So yeah, that's a nice bonus. I'm not sure it'll continue, but that makes them a little more interesting in those 5 outfielder leagues. Winker over Rosario, but they're both worth keeping an eye on.
All right, for more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Odyssey app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.